Hello, I am Camisia Scriven, the Social Studies Supervisor under the Department of Curriculum and Instruction. And I wanted to have a virtual meeting. I decided at the last minute that I wanted to change it to just a video because I know last week was a wellness week and I didn't want to interrupt it by adding another meeting to the agenda. So I decided to make a video, and this is something you can go back to, but also a lot of valuable information will be in this video, and hopefully it'll help you get through the end of this school year. But right now, our focus is getting through the end of 2021. Okay. And so if you have any questions, I'm going to give you my contact information so that you can contact me. And in highlighted right here, it lets you know that you will receive CEUs. This is very important, but you would have to do some activities at the end, some little exit tickets to show that you were active or that you watched the video. I wanted to first talk a little bit about myself because I am new to the district, and sometimes you like to know who you're dealing with, and just to know that they're just a average person, just a regular person that just in love, that just loves life. So, once again, I'm Camisia Scriven, and I put some fun facts on the side. I'm not gonna go over all the stuff on this slide, but you can see it. I'll move my picture. And after this slide, I will remove my picture because I'm sure you don't want to watch me. But I am married. So Scriven is my maiden name. My marriage name. My maiden name is Thomas, which is a lot easier to pronounce than Scriven. And so I always have people pronounce my first name wrong and my last name wrong. Now that I have a new last name, Thomas was very easy for people to say. So I have 5 beautiful children who are pictured here. I love them dearly. They are my reason for everything. I love to sing on praise and worship. I just had a birthday, November 1st. And I also want to talk about my education, that I have a bachelor's degree in social studies, a master's in special education. Special education is really dear to my heart. So even though I am the social studies supervisor, if you're having any issues or need any support or help or guidance with any of your EC population, I am willing to help in that area as well, because it's really dear to my heart, and I love to see every kid succeed no matter what issues they may have. I love to see students conquer any of those issues and be successful in education. Um, these are just some of the roles that I have been a part of, and every single role was so great for me. I was passionate about every single role. As a teacher assistant in kindergarten, it just brought myself so much joy being in the classroom with those babies and being the assistant. It was just a lovely experience. So I basically climbed the ladder up, and I've loved every part of it. Um, I love sports. My favorite sport to actually watch is football, but my sport that I played that helped me get my scholarship in college was softball. So I went to school on a softball scholarship, and that was a great experience as well. All right, so now let's get down to the important stuff now that you know a little bit about me. So this is our agenda that I created. So I'm going to go step by step with this agenda, and we're going to talk about, I know it looks like a lot, but it will not take me too long. Okay. All right. So my duties and specialty areas, I think that's very important, because sometimes in the curriculum and instruction department, teachers sometimes feel like we're just focusing on that content area. But I have a lot of different areas that I focus on. So if you need help in any of these areas, I am definitely excited to help you in any of these areas. So you see the list of initiatives that I am a part of. in the district. And then on the right side over here, you see some of my background specialty areas. So once again, like I said earlier, special education or EC, differentiated instruction, classroom management. I worked with BTs for 5 years. So I love helping all teachers, but beginning teachers, because you can mold them to be great. They are ready to receive a lot of great stuff. And I love working with beginning teachers, because if you are a beginning teacher and you're listening, this is the most important information I can give you or advice. Surround yourself around positive people in your building that can help you and support you, people that are willing to help you, because sometimes we can get around the wrong people and it will influence our educational process. All right, so a few of the main topics that I wanted to focus on was the pacing guides, new standards, and I wanted to go into more detail about how we can deliver instruction in the classroom. Okay. And the most important part is that I'm in the process of putting some curriculum and pacing guides together. Eventually, we're going to have a team of teachers to come together and tweak it and put their own twist on it and make it as close to perfect as we can. So as we know, we have some people in our district right now that are helping with the statewide unit plans and process for social studies. The standards just changed. So August 2021, we should have started using the new standards. That's one of the reasons for this meeting, because when I did a few walkthroughs, I noticed that a lot of teachers are still using the old standards, which that's okay, but we're going to move forward and we're going to try to use these new standards, because that is one of the state requirements, is that we push out these new standards that have been given to us. I'm going to also show you in this slideshow how you can find those standards and kind of break them down so you can see the difference between the old standards and the new standards. So hopefully that will help someone. Okay. Now, I had a lot of elementary teachers who contacted me that are saying they really want a pacing guide. And so, like I said, we're in the process of trying to create a team, but we're really not going to roll out any pacing guides, I was told, until the state finishes their process. And but I do have some that I have been working on. And once, like I said, once we get the team together, we will have more to offer you all. But until then, if you need help creating a lesson, if you need help breaking down the standards, I can definitely help. I can create little activities, and I can even share a little piece of the pacing guides that I do have to try to show you how to create lessons based off these standards. Okay. And one thing I wanted to let you all know, that if you teach social studies in elementary school, I am definitely your support, but also Dr. Sandra Evans is your support as well, because she's over elementary. And I wanted to say that elementary, your main resource is Studies Weekly. That does not mean that Studies Weekly is the only resource that you can use. You can go online and find some great resources, but when it comes to trying to figure out what topic I should be on, it probably be best to just follow the Studies Weekly timeline or guideline for what topics should come next in your lessons. So use that sequence from Studies Weekly. Of course, 6 through 12 is using the HMH resource. So you can follow those topics in sequence. That would probably be the best way until we get some pacing guides created for you all. Okay. So I want to kind of show you something that I was working on, so you'll know that I'm really trying and working to put some things together for you all. Okay, so this right here says 6th grade curriculum guide example, and you will have access to this slideshow in a day or two. I just wanted you all to watch the video, hear me talk and explain some great information, and then I will give you access to this slideshow where you have access to all the links and videos that are posted in this slideshow. All right, so this says 6th grade curriculum guide example link. So when you click it, this is something that I've been working on. So you will have your course overview, you have all the units, and of course, I've only did 3 units for 6th grade so far, so I'm gradually trying to get more units embedded in there. So I've just been working on it by myself. So once I get that team together, I know we'll knock it out. So for example, unit 1, it kind of tells you what the topic is, what standards or objectives you'll be working on. And then down here, I actually have it where you can click and open the unit. So this is unit 1. Okay. And so when you open up unit 1, it kind of tells you everything you need to know. It's an overview of it, of course, at first. And then it tells you your standards that you need to be focusing on in this unit. It gives you the big idea, essential questions, vocabulary that's needed in this lesson, in this unit. And then it gives you some suggested lessons, suggested essential questions, suggested I can statements. So I keep using the word suggested because I want you to know that if you want to tweak something, you can. This is just a guideline. This is a pacing guide. A guide means that you can put your own twists on it. So don't feel like you are only obligated to use what resources I have. You can find your own resources to support your lesson and to support the students that you have. We all have different level students, so you have to find resources that fits your group of students. And so we have resources on this side that you can use. For each standard, there's some resources that you could possibly use. And like I said, this will be tweaked. And so that would be historical skills, unit 1 for 6th grade. Okay. And so let me go back. And so the same thing would be if you want to click unit 2, meeting the civilizations, which is it's all in the same format. And so it's telling you all the areas we're going to hit, what we're going to learn about in this unit. Overview, of course, and then the objectives. And so this unit only has 2 objectives. The other unit had several. So, and then you have the big ideas, again, the essential questions, and the vocabulary that they probably need to know. And then I even linked in the DPI vocabulary. You'll see a lot of links from DPI because a lot of stuff is right there on the North Carolina DPI website. You really don't have to go out, which is fine for you to go out and find your own resources. But a lot of the things you need is right on the North Carolina DPI website. So I also linked a lot of that in here, but it's also on the slideshow. So I'm going to go back. Okay. Oh, and it's right here. North Carolina DPI resources and links. So when you click it, this is just a document I use. And then all of these links are from DPI, but they're for different parts. And I'm going to keep adding to this. So this is going to be a resource list with links. So it'll be easy for you all to just go to this document and it might be something you need. For example, if you want to do a graphic organizer for an activity, it's so many different graphic organizers that we could use in social studies. So I will create a link here that will take you to a website that focuses on graphic organizers where you can find the best one that fits your activity. Okay. So I'm going to click a link so you can see how it just takes you right to DPI. And so this right here shows you whatever your grade level is. You can click it and everything you need. And this says fall 2021 implementation. So this is very important because a lot of teachers did not know that we were supposed to be implementing these. So make sure when you're clicking documents on DPI, because they still have some older documents from the old standards on here, make sure you're clicking the ones that are new. Okay. And this Google site is a part of the DPI as well. So this is what I was saying, where you get standards, resources, professional learning if you want to. It's a lot of good resources here for social studies on the DPI website. And I know I have some veteran teachers listening, and I'm sorry, I know a lot of this information so far is for beginning teachers, but we all can use North Carolina DPI to support us. And one thing that I told a teacher, I've been telling teachers, that we're all kind of starting brand new because the standards are brand new. So we're all needing support and having to come up with fresh lessons and fresh activities because the standards have changed. So we're all in this together. All right, so standard comparison and reasoning. So I did an example because I think it's always important to see something. All right. So this is the new 2021. This is just an example of some new standards that we should be pushing. So I use eighth grade, and then these are the previous ones that we've had. So I put down here in yellow what I think is the difference between these standards. So the new ones are more narrow, and the 2010 ones were more broad. So that simply means that in 2010, by the standards being so broad, that it gave teachers leadway, and I hope this doesn't sound offensive, to work in their comfort zone. Now, sometimes working in your comfort zone means that you're being biased, and those are the things that we're trying to take out of our social studies class. Okay. But when the standards are broad, it gives teachers a way where they can move around and still hit the standard, but only focus on the things that are comfortable for them and what they think is right or what they want to discuss in history. So now we have a narrow path, which it kind of forces you to stick to the narrative of what happened in history on both sides or on whatever is being asked. Okay. And so let me see if I can give you an example here. Let me see. I should have gave some more. Okay. So I should have gave some more examples so you could really see the difference between the two. But I will say that the new standards, it actually uses the words like this 8H 1.3, slavery, segregation. It uses words like that. It uses words like indigenous people, Native Americans, African Americans, versus the old standards. A lot of the time it would just say, how does this topic affect the United States? But that could mean a lot of different things. So now that the standards are narrow, it's actually telling you to focus on a specific group. So it may say, how did Europeans affect the indigenous people in the United States of America? So now it's not broad where it's just saying, how did the Europeans affect America? It's actually breaking down the standard, making it more narrow where you have to stay on the track of how did it affect Native Americans or indigenous people. And then you have to focus, you got to talk about the positive and the negative of this standard. Okay. So with the previous, it was just kind of, you can discuss whatever you want to discuss in your social studies class and still hit the standards because it didn't give you an actual event or topic to focus on. You could pick your topic and focus on it, versus the new standards are more so telling you exactly what you should be teaching, what you should be focusing on. So you can't veer off to cater to your own self or your own needs, or so that you stay comfortable or in your own comfort zone. Okay. Now I hope that makes sense, but I want to tell you the difference between the two standards. So like I said, the previous standards were really, really broad, where teachers could really be teaching that standard, but it's so broad to the point where they could teach anything, versus now is narrow, meaning that you have to focus in on a certain piece of history. Okay. All right. So now the next part that I wanted to discuss was inquiry-based learning. I was given the opportunity to go to Utah for a week. I think it was last month. I was able to go for a week, and I learned a lot more about inquiry-based learning. Inquiry-based learning can be used in all subject areas, but believe it or not, the best subject area to use this is social studies and history. And the reason for this is because if you do not roll out your lessons correctly in social studies classes, it can seem biased. And you're going to hear me use that word a lot, bias. It can seem biased. It can seem like you're leading your group of students to feel a certain way. And in social studies classes should not be that. It should be where a group of students are able to use their own thinking to come up with their own assumptions, use their own investigations, use their own critical thinking skills to digest a topic. Okay. So while they're learning, while I'm teaching, the students should never know my point of view. They should never know how I actually feel about the topic, because I'm just giving them a bunch of information, a bunch of resources, and they come up with their own thinking. And they're still learning. So don't feel like they're not learning. You don't have to just stand in front of the room and just throw out facts for kids to learn. You can give them a lot of resources and they can come up with their own learning. So that's what we're trying to get to, especially in social studies. And believe it or not, it keeps us out of trouble, because if something was to happen and a parent wants to complain, or someone saying it's an issue in the class, then you can always say, I never give kids actual answers. I give them texts or sources and they come up with their own conclusions. Okay. And so that's one way where we can say that we're not forcing our personal history or our personal thoughts on the students. Okay. So inquiry-based learning is a form of active learning that starts by posing questions, problems, or scenarios. All right. So we know a lot of problems in history. We know a lot of events that happen. So we throw it out there. We give them all the tools they need to use all of these right here in white: conceptual understanding learning. They'll be able to observe, investigate, use those critical thinking skills, have peer discussions with their classmates, gather evidence, support answers, and a lot of that is with textual evidence. Okay. So what I like to think about when I think of inquiry-based learning is, what do you think? Why do you think that? And what evidence do you have to support that? Okay. So if a student comes up to you and they can tell you what they think, why they think that, and what evidence they can use to support it, then they're on the right track. That's inquiry-based learning. Okay. So we have to really focus in. And I want to give an example about Christopher Columbus. So, an example of Christopher Columbus, and this is where we mess up sometimes when we try to do inquiry-based learning. It was a while ago when I was an 8th grade teacher. I had came up with this activity where actually I had saw it where someone was talking about hero versus villain when it comes to Christopher Columbus. So I pulled all these different texts so that the kids could look at it, and they had to determine on their own, was Christopher Columbus considered a hero or a villain? Okay. I didn't go around and say, hey, I think he's a villain, or hey, I think he's a hero. No, I gave kids the tools that they need, the sources, and they used their investigation skills. They observed, peer discussions, critical thinking skills to come up with their own assumptions. All right, I stopped my video. I'm sure you don't know it, but I stopped my video for a second. So I don't know what my last thoughts were, but I was just saying, I was talking about Christopher Columbus. So with that, I had another teacher on my grade level who decided to do the same activity. The only problem was when he wrote out his activity, his text that the kids had to use to come up with their proposition, only talked about the positives of Christopher Columbus. So if I ask the kids a question where they have to investigate, and it's something where they're looking at two sides, then whatever resources or documentation or videos, whatever we give them, it has to show all sides. Okay. Because if I give them this and it's only talking about the positive of Christopher Columbus, that's all they see. That means they're going to automatically choose that. So you have to make sure you're giving kids the whole picture when you are giving out activities or coming up with activities. Make sure that all the resources you use has the whole picture of whatever is being discussed. Okay. And so, of course, majority of the students said that he was a hero because that's all they saw in the text. And then the ones who said he was a villain, they didn't go off the text. So they didn't have any evidence to support. They just went off what they know from home, what they hear from their parents, things like that. And so we need to make sure that they have everything they need when you are having a discussion or they have to do some type of investigating. So that's one of the things that I noticed is probably the hardest part of inquiry-based learning is finding different pieces of sources that they can use when it comes to inquiry-based learning. Okay. And so a lot of this consists of group work, peer work, or partner work. And the teacher is more so of the facilitator. So I'm walking around and I'm asking questions, and you're going to always have that student that say, well, what do you think? Which one do you believe? That's not, and you have to flip that into a question for them, because that's not a time for you to give your beliefs, because this is just time for them to learn. And no matter what side they choose, they're right. And also, no matter which side they choose, they're still learning about Christopher Columbus. They're learning about, let's say if your topic is exploration, um, they're still learning about it, even though they're coming up with the conclusion of what they think was right or wrong. They're still learning about exploration and Christopher Columbus and what he did for America, what he didn't do for America, how America was affected, how the Native American population was affected. All of this stuff they're learning through the sources that they're reading, or the videos they're watching, or the charts and graphs and maps or political cartoons or whatever you're giving them to analyze data. They are using all of that information, which means they're still learning the standard. Okay. And you're walking around, you're supporting. So, whatever their overall goal is, when they're being assessed, they should definitely still pass that assessment, because learning is still taking place, even though you're not standing in front of the room reading off slideshows or talking or the whole time, or showing them things on the smart board the entire class period. And sometimes it's hard for teachers to understand that teaching is still taking place when you're facilitating. The best teaching takes place when you're facilitating, when you're walking around, when you're monitoring, when you're questioning them and giving them higher level questioning as you're walking around. Okay, maybe stopping the class and saying, hey, Johnny said this. What do you all think about this idea? To throw out more discussion. The kids are still learning. They can learn so much when you let them use their voice. Okay. And then if you still don't really understand what inquiry-based learning, please contact me. But I also put a link down here at the bottom. So if you click the link, it'll just take you to a pretty cool website that I thought summed up inquiry-based learning very well. It even breaks down all of the pieces and give you a great definition of it. Okay, so I thought that was good for you. All right, supporting ELA. And I know I have different groups. I have elementary, I have middle, and I have high school that's watching this video. Supporting ELA can be done all the way across the board. Now, we'll say the excitement is in elementary and middle school, because you can really connect with your ELA teacher, and you usually have those same group of students, so you can make those connections with the students as well. High school is a little different, because you and the ELA teacher don't have the same group of kids all day. So it's a lot different. But what I mean by supporting ELA is reading, literacy, ELA. We are the second line of support as a social studies teacher. And that means that a lot of things that we do in social studies and history class, it goes back to our literacy skills. If we think about when we were in college, I know when I was in college and I had a textbook, I highlighted a lot, I underlined, I circled, I wrote notes on the side. That's annotation. That's something you have to do in reading class. It's something you should be doing in your social studies and history classes. Every time you use a graphic organizer, you're taking notes, you're trying to break down different pieces of a text. All of those are reading strategies that you can help build in your social studies class. Okay. And so think of it as a two-parent home. ELA teacher, maybe the mom, social studies teacher is the dad. Both parents are very important. So you help each other. We're one team. So we have to come together and figure out those struggles and be the support for ELA. Because I guarantee if they do well on ELA, they'll do well on any test you give them. But also at the same time, if you really push these strategies into your social studies class, you will see those ELA scores go up. I've seen it with my own eyes, how my instruction in social studies helped my ELA teacher. Okay. Now in elementary and middle school, a good way to do this, since you have the same students and the ELA teacher is actually on the team. Some of you all teach the same subject. So you teach both ELA and social studies. So that's even more better, I should say, not more, but better. Um, what that means is for elementary and middle is that you can just walk across the hall and gather information from your ELA teacher. It's okay to go over and ask, how can I support you? Okay. So a good way is, for example, question stems. Those question stems, how they're written on the ELA, ELG, that's something we can push in our social studies classes as well. So the kids are still getting that rigor of questioning. And if you're teaching them how to break down that question stem, and the ELA teacher, they're getting 2 doses of it, and it's going to pay off in the end. Okay. Another thing is, let's say if ELA has some vocabulary words, let's say the word analyze is a word that students are struggling with, then that's something you can push in your bell ringers or in your lesson. So let's say every week the ELA teacher gives you about 3 words that she know is needed for these kids to successfully pass the end of grade test. Then she may give you, as a social studies teacher, a few words. Can you push these words throughout the week, and let's see how they do, to see if they can learn it using social studies as well. Okay. And it's so many ways you can incorporate. Let's say if ELA is focused on poetry for the week and you're doing World War II, you could find some poetry that was written during that time period. During World War II, a lot of soldiers was writing. And when they're talking about figurative language in ELA, you can have students pulling out figurative language in that poem that was written by a soldier during World War II. They're still learning about history of World War II through that poetry, but they're also learning some of those reading standards from the ELA class. So it's so many ways that you can push it out. So you are supporting. So even though social studies is not a tested area anymore, I want you to walk in every day of your classroom thinking that you are just important as an ELA teacher, because at the end of the year, those kids should be growing, not just because they had an outstanding ELA teacher, but because they also had an outstanding social studies teacher that helped support that ELA teacher. I remember when I was teaching, I would have people come in my room and they would say, I didn't know if you were the ELA teacher or a social studies teacher. So because I had it in my brain that when you walk into my room, this is an ELA class that focuses on history topics. So when you came in my class, you were using all those same strategies that you used in your ELA class. But when you came in here, we were just focused on a history topic, because I also needed to cover my standard. Okay. So if they were citing textual evidence in their ELA class, when they came to my class and we had an informational text on whatever history topic we were covering, I had them citing evidence using the same process that they use in their ELA class. So those are the things that we have to do. And I know some of you are saying, well, I teach science and social studies, and that does not connect. We are in the process of possibly next year or a year or two to convert ELA and social studies together. So if you are a dual teacher now, we want dual teachers to be ELA and social studies versus science and social studies. Okay. And just a little pointer for science teachers also, you can do the same thing when it comes to your lessons. Pull out some informational text based off whatever you're talking about. If you're talking about photosynthesis, you find an informational text about it, and those kids can still use those reading strategies. And I want to say that it's not just text. I'm not just talking about reading text. You can use reading strategies for charts, graphs, maps, political cartoons, comic strips, pictures. It's so many things that you can use these same reading strategies for. So don't limit yourself and say, oh, I don't want to just do reading all the time in my class. Even though reading is a significant part of social studies. But remember that it's all, when it comes to analyzing and comprehending, it's not just reading words. Students need to be able to comprehend and analyze a chart, analyze a map. All of those are important too, and that's actually the standard. The standard talks about constructing maps and graphs and understanding them. So Those are also ways you can push. And I wanted to give an example to show you. This is some information actually from when I was teaching um, 8th grade, but this is data from all. And so this is real data. I don't have any names on here or anything, but this is real data. But I wanted to show you right here these ELA standards. And it's a lot of them. I just highlighted a few. So like this one says, analyze how a text makes connections among and distinctions between individuals, ideas, or events. Any text that we give our kids, any informational text we give our kids, we can have them do this. And we're supporting, because this is an ELA standard. We can support this standard. We can push this. Determining the meaning of words. How many times have we have students read something on World War II or on colonization and they don't know the meaning of certain words? They have to be able to use that text using context clues and determine the meaning of these words. Okay, the point of view. That's something they need to know when they're reading the text. But all of these, and this is my favorite right here, citing textual evidence, because I know when I saw students taking ELA tests, and sometimes on the test, it would just grab a quote. It would say this quote from paragraph 4, and it would ask you, what does this quote mean? A lot of students cannot determine the meaning of that quote. And then sometimes it'll give you multiple quotes as multiple choice answer choices, and it'll ask you which quote best fits this. And a lot of students cannot break down those quotes or determine which one is the best. So that's something that you can push in your social studies class as well, because they should be citing textual evidence all the time in social studies or history. That goes back to the inquiry-based learning that I was talking about. And even though I only have these in yellow, all of these, I could have highlighted all of these. So I would be helping out ELA in so many ways. Okay. And so if I see that they're at 35.5% proficiency as a teacher, no matter what I teach, if I know I can help move this 35% up, then I am. I'm going to help support, because I'm helping the whole child. And a child needs to know how to read. No matter what subject area you are with, you know the importance of reading and reading skills. So if you're in a subject area that can definitely support, you definitely need to support. Okay. So this one right here, 18% are proficient. Okay. We definitely need to push those. And so your ELA teacher has this data, or they might just tell you, hey, this is a standard. Can you focus on this when you're doing your social studies? That's fine. And like I was saying, if you're high school and you don't have that connection with the ELA teacher because y'all don't have the same group of kids, then you can always, like I was showing you earlier about DPI, you can go to DPI. Instead of hitting social studies, you can hit ELA and you can see all the standards as well. But even if you don't want to know the exact standard, you know basic reading skills that kids struggle with. So just put a little more effort in helping those kids with those reading skills, because that's something they're going to need for the rest of their life, especially to be career ready, college ready, whatever their intentions are after high school. These reading skills will definitely help them. Okay. And so that's one thing that I learned, that teaching our content area is important, but it's also about the whole child. Whatever we can do to help these children be successful, we have to put forth that effort. Okay. So please don't look at it as, oh, I'm doing ELA's work. You're supporting them. We want these kids to grow and be productive adults and have the skills that they need to be that. Okay. All right. I'm almost finished, I promise. So, DOK, this is very important to me. And the reason why is because I was that teacher when I was like a first or second year teacher. I was that teacher that stayed right up in here, level 1. And I really thought my kids would learn. I was like, oh my God, I tell them something. And then the next day I bring it up and they're able to recall it. They're able to tell me what I said from the day before. They were listening. They were paying attention. They're learning. And that's good when you first start a lesson. But after you've been on that lesson a few days, we got to move on to level 2 and level 3 and level 4. We got to extend that thinking. Okay. And so this chart I thought was important because it shows you the difference between each level. And it just tells you what you should be focusing on each level. Okay. So yes, they should be able to recall maybe some important vocabulary words to start the unit off, or something that you just discussed, maybe an important date or a time frame that they should know. That's definitely. And but then they should be learning some type of skill and using strategies and creating something to be able to really show their thought process. Okay. And so the most important part to me on this chart is the verbs. So, like I was saying, vocabulary, like define, that's something they should be able to define. They should be able to list something, memorize what I told them yesterday, or something like that. That's recall. That's something from the first stages. But by the end of that lesson, they should be down here at level 4. When you're about to finish that unit or that lesson, they should be able to create something, design something, prove something. Okay? They should be able to apply everything they learn to come up with something. And this also goes back to inquiry-based learning. If you're using that inquiry-based learning framework that I showed you, then you have no other choice but to hit every level. Okay? So if this seems complicated, I promise you, if you focus on that inquiry-based learning, it's going to move the kids, because they're going to start having discussions with each other, and they're going to really be thinking about it and extended thinking. That's what we want them to really think and use those critical thinking skills. It's going to naturally happen in your class. Your questionings are going to come more advanced for the students. It's not going to just be recall. Okay. Before a long time, I just felt like the kids could recall and repeat what I said the day before or the day of, that they are learning, and I'm doing a great job as a teacher, which you could be, but it doesn't stop there. Okay. So we got to push these kids, push them. So in our I can statements or our learning targets, we may start off with a verb on this list, but eventually we got to start using words on these other lists, okay, to see if they really understand the standards. All right. So these question stems, yes, they help. And then I want to talk about supporting ELA with question stems, which I kind of talked about on the last slide, is that you can ask your ELA teacher for question stems, but you can also look up some question stems. But question stems are very important when it comes to kids passing the ELG, because it could be that the kids are learning, but your questions are so simple that even though they know the content, once they get those rigor questions on the ELG, it becomes a struggle and they give up on the question. So they need to be seeing those rigor question stems all throughout. So when they have that ELG, it doesn't seem new or stressful, or they feel like they're inadequate to even take the test. Okay. So that's why question stems are so important, and that they are aligned to what they're going to see at the end. And no, that is not teaching to the test. That's just using those strategies that are needed, so that they are ready and prepared to take the test. Okay. All right. These are some resources, and I'm going to keep adding to that resource list that I showed you. But these are just some. And remember earlier I was talking about the graphic organizer ideas. So you can click these and you can find some great resources to help you when you're coming up with different sides of a topic. My favorite, I love Common Lit. Okay. And I know we're pushing New Zella um, in the district. So New Zella is a great place to find articles. And we have some more, and then graphic organizer ideas, because I know a lot of graphic organizers, if done with fidelity, they can be very effective. Now, if you're just having the kids do a bubble map, you take notes on it and you never go back to it and it's just some notes, then no, that's not implementing with fidelity. But if there is a lot of graphic organizers that you can use, break them down and then discuss it and maybe do it as a whole group. Graphic organizers are really great for social studies if done correctly. So if you want to use graphic organizers but you don't really know how, then I can definitely help and support with that as well. All right, this is probably the most important slide. So this is my contact information, um, my office phone, my work cell, okay? And then I have a support contact form, and I'm gonna show you that. And then you have my office hours. every Monday from 3:30 to 4:30. Now, next Monday, because it's a short week and I think we have a meeting, we're not going to do office hours next week. So I don't want anybody to say, oh, she said she was going to be doing Mondays and she was not on, because we're right at Thanksgiving next week. They decided to cancel it. And it's because we also have a meeting at this time with the curriculum staff. Okay. But I wanted to make sure everybody had this link, because when I go out, I hear a lot of teachers say, well, I didn't know you did office hours, or I didn't know the link. So I wanted to have it directly here, so you all would know how to get to me in different ways. Like I said, my email, I will email you back. If I take too long, call my office phone, call my work cell. You will not be getting on my nerves, I promise. Contact me. I'm excited about it. And I just want to give a shout out again to the elementary teachers who have really been contacting me. It means a lot, especially when you want me to come out and observe your front room, or co-teach, or you need some resources. It just makes me so happy to be able to help and support. This is my passion. And that was on my slide at the beginning where I was talking about myself. I am a servant. I am a helper. I love to help people, and I want everybody to be great. So don't ever feel like you're getting on my nerves, because that's not it. Okay. But I wanted to show you this support contact form. So when you click this, you can write your school name, of course, your name, information, grade level, your content area, your planning time. And then I am interested in being supported in the following ways. How can I help you? And it gives you a whole list of things that you can put. If you want me to co-teach, if you need some help with PLCs, if you need help with small group instruction, pacing help, beginning teacher support, whatever it is, click it. And you can also choose other. If you choose other than down here, I want you to tell me what kind of support you need. And you hit submit, and it will go right to a document for me. So anytime you want me to come out to your school, or even just you want me to call you back for something, but this is more so for when you want me to come actually to your school and support you in some type of way. Okay. And then once again, my office hours are from 3:30 to 4:30 on Monday. All right. So this is how you're going to get your CUs, and I will contact you back on the process for that. I'm still learning too, so I didn't say that for my people. If you're new to the district, then you probably don't know that I'm new too. So I've only been in this role since school started. So I started maybe 2 weeks before school started. So I'm still learning a lot of different things. So also remember, if you send me an email and I don't respond right back, I'm probably trying to contact my director to see what the correct answer is, because I am learning as well when it comes to how things are ran in this district, because I came from a different district. So I'm learning just like everyone else. This right here, it says, please complete colleague form. This is only if you have a colleague that is missing from the email thread. So when you go back to the email and you look through all the names of the people that received this slideshow or this video, look on there and see if it's somebody you know in your building that was not on that thread. And I know that sounds like a lot, or it might sound like it's not important, but it's so important to me, because we're getting so many new social studies teachers, so many vacancies that were, and now they have teachers in those positions. I don't have their emails. So if it's somebody in your school or on your hall that teaches social studies or history that you know is not on this thread, then I want you to click this form and just tell me what's your name, the person filling out this form. But then please add the teacher's information that you are letting me know that they need to be added to the thread, basically, that I need to send them. And you can also forward them the video as well. So once you do this, if you go ahead and forward that person the video or this email, then that will help me as well. Okay. Because I'm trying to get everybody involved that is a part of social studies and history. All right. The second part is for you to complete the Jamboard. If you are a K through 6 teacher, this is your Jamboard link. And 7 through 13, this is your Jamboard link. So if we click it, It says, please leave any comments, concerns, or questions from today's video meeting. I would like everyone to share something as this will be used for attendance purposes. So if you just want to say, hey, I'm from Red Springs Middle School, or if you just want to say it's a sunshiny day outside, that's fine. But I would love to actually get comments and concerns about the video, or any issues that you're having with social studies, or positive moments that you want to share. I know during my rough patches in education, hearing other positives from other people, it motivated me. So if you want to give something positive, that's fine as well on the Jamboard. Okay. And so I think that's all I have for you. I know I said a lot in this time, but I'm so grateful for you all. And hopefully I will be able to see you all soon. I'll put my video so you can see me again, because this is from my heart, and I want to say it from my heart that I love what I do. And I'm excited about it. I'm a person that if you give me a problem, I have to find you a solution. I'm very positive. So it's kind of hard to break me when you come with me if you have a lot of negativity, you can come to me and I guarantee I can flip it for you. So you can see the positive side, and you will leave feeling better. So if you feel like you're drowning at any point or you need any support, just please contact me. It's my joy, and I mean it with all my heart. This is my passion. I love education. I love helping students. And so just remember that I'm here for you. If I haven't made it out to your school, I promise to make it out there soon. I'm trying to make it to all schools. But if you definitely need help and support, please let me know, and I will put a rush on getting to your school. Definitely. But I'm so excited for this opportunity, and I hope everything is going well. I know it was a lot of information in this video, and I hope that you find something in here that can help you, or that motivates you to continue to be great, because I have seen some great things in the social studies department, and I'm so excited about it. And I just want to give a shout out again to my teachers who teach social studies that are actually science teachers. That are nervous. I met a couple of teachers that said they are nervous about teaching social studies because science is their background, and they're terrified about when they have to teach social studies. You are a hero. You are a superstar to be able to teach something that you are very uncomfortable with, that you feel like you're inadequate to teach. This is great, but I am your support to help you get through those moments. So thank you to all of you all from kindergarten to high school. I'm excited about this journey and all these new initiatives we have in the district. Robinson County is definitely moving in the right direction, and I'm excited about this one team, one goal. Help somebody. If you're a veteran teacher and you're listening to me, help somebody that needs help, whether it's a new teacher or is a new initiative that's being pushed that you know a little bit about, that person is struggling with. Help somebody. It means so much. We're all on the same team. So never feel like you can't share your ideas. Share your ideas, so that we all can grow together. Okay. And so I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, a wonderful rest of your week. And I hope to hear from you all soon. Okay. Have a great day.